All right, so the test is Wednesday, thank you. And as a reminder, remember, we won't have class on Monday. So once we break for the weekend, Friday will be our last lesson for the unit. And then when you get to class Wednesday, boom, you have a test. So we don't have class Monday. If after Friday you need some tutoring or help, then you will have to use Tuesday before after school tutoring for getting some help. Remember, I've already put the test review and key in your stream announcements, so you can start looking at that at any time, even before we get to the rest of the material. Some announcements. The first one, if you still haven't taken quiz 1 because you were absent, oh wait, this subject I think I said we were going to retake it, right? Did I tell y'all we would have a retake, everybody? Or did I say anything? I didn't need y'all to tell me. I can't remember anymore. The days are all blending together. If you need to retake the quiz or you haven't taken it at all yet, please email me and I will send you a link to do that. Awesome. Yeah, so question in the chat, the test is going to be on quizzes. How do y'all feel about quizzes things? Put in the chat for me, do you prefer quizzes or Google assessments, Google Forms? So do you like when your teachers give you quizzes and testing, quizzes or Google Forms? Do you have a preference? So I'm seeing actually lots of things. Quizzes, some with Google, some both. Okay, that's good to know. I'll keep that in mind. It's probably going to be quizzes this time. Oh, so on Google Forms, you can go back and change your answer. Okay, that's something, I'm going to make a mark about that so I can keep that in mind. I didn't realize that. You could go back and change your answer. And I know on the quizzes, we have to time it, like you have to choose a time on it. There's no option to not time the questions as far as I can tell. Okay, so thank you for that feedback. My second announcement is about asynchronous attendance. So I've been having emails and comments this week saying, I did my asynchronous attendance, but I'm absent in Skyward. You will be absent the first day because on the day you have class, I only enter into Skyward my Zoom attendance people. I do not check for asynchronous attendance until the next day. So asynchronous will never be updated on the day you have class. It will always be later. And even if we have 3 like free days to get the attendance updated before we have to go submit paperwork, which would make it take longer. But even if in some scenario, like I forgot or I did it wrong or whatever, I can always do paperwork later to fix an absence, but I try to do it the next day or at least within a couple of days. And then my last announcement is I have to show you a thing during advisory today that they just told us about this morning. So please help me remember to show you that after the lesson. If you're watching this video asynchronously, there's a tiny URL down here that takes you to the Google Drive doc with the steps for this information. And what it is the district is asking both students and teachers to upgrade their Zoom security and their accounts. I don't actually know how that's going to work. I haven't had time to look at the presentation, but we'll look at it later. And they are wanting it done by Friday for students, and then teachers the following week. So I don't even really have answers about what it is, just that it's a higher level of security that they are telling us to do. And if it doesn't get done properly, you won't be able to get into Zoom next week. So we'll figure that out during advisory. And again, if you're asynchronous, type this tiny URL here that's down here into a web browser and go there. And also, I think the information is being emailed to your parents. It's going to be everywhere. All right, so here's the lesson. We are doing square roots today and Friday, and today we're only doing perfect ones. And this should be one of the easiest things we do. And again, the reason I'm spending time on it is so you can get these down faster, like so you can recognize them as quickly as possible. So before, what you have on the left-hand side is problems to simplify. And on the right-hand side, I have two tables for you to fill out for reference. So what I want you to do is, you can use a calculator. I want you to fill in first those tables on the right, like I want you to, a perfect square. So, okay, here's what I'm trying to say. Miss Buddy is talk, stick to. The left one is when you actually square the number, like 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is, right? 2, the square of that is 4, because that means 2 times 2. The square of 3 is 9, because that means 3 times 3. And then on the second column, you're just inversing that. So if you take that 1, and instead you saw this, what's the square root of 1? You'd say 1. And if you take that 4, and instead I asked you what's the square root of 4, you would say 2. And the square root of 9 is 3. So the right column is doing the inverse of the first column. And these tables, these are not the problems. These are just reference for you, but I want you to fill them in yourself. So please fill in all the way down the rest of those 2 columns, and then put in the chat done for me when you're done. In fact, you can finish this whole thing. Do the columns and do the problems on the left. And I don't think that should take you more than 10 minutes. And please put done in the chat, and then we'll talk about it together. And if you have a question about anything that I'm asking you to do, put that in the chat as well. I forgot to record that. So here are the answers one more time. And then we're going to play bingo. If you're watching this video asynchronously, you are not getting credit for bingo. You have a worksheet that you have to do instead, and self-check and put that in the Google Classroom. Those of you who are in Zoom, we're going to play bingo, and you'll just show me your bingo card when we're done, and you'll just have a participation grade for the day that you did bingo.